only somewhat half-ish kind of defender of 21 Pilots in the past. I say that with hesitancy because I do know there are people out there that absolutely love their last album. There are people out there that absolutely love Blurryface and even Vessel too, but I've never really loved any of their albums. I've just been a defender of quite a few of their singles. Not consistently though. I mean, I wouldn't really say I'd go out my way to defend many of the songs from Blurryface, aside from Tear My Heart, which I think is a pretty good track, and Stressed Out, which I think is a great track actually. I still love that track. I think lyrically it's a really, really clever song, really smart, and really nostalgic for a time that, you know, you just want to go back to, because once you get to that adult point in your life, everything that you loved as a kid kind of just gets further and further away from, you know, where you are in the adult stages. And then Holding On To You, which I think is a fantastic track too. I think they've got a lot of good songs. I've just always found it weird that they've never managed to hone it in for an entire album. Trench was a similar case for me, where I think the ideas on some of the tracks were certainly there, but they just kind of rinsed and repeated a lot of them throughout the rest of the album, and it just kind of got a bit dry, got a bit stale. And aside from Chlorine and maybe Jumpsuit, depending on what mood I'm in, I don't know if there's that many tracks I'd take away from that one. And the praise that it got from a lot of critics and fans just left me feeling, you know, out in the cold, because I wasn't quite on board with it. And so I was going into this new album not sure what to expect, because Shy Away was the lead single. So mixed reactions to that one. Definitely seemed as though I was, again, left out in the cold. Because I actually thought it was pretty good. Sure, it's generic in many ways. It's pretty standard for indie pop, as, you know, indie pop goes. It's probably the safest song that you could not only release as a single, but you could release as a single after Trench. Like, this was the most odd detour I think many modern bands have ever taken. And it seemed pretty clear once the album kicked into gear from the opening track, 21 Pilots were going happy. And that's not to say that's a bad thing, because obviously going happy shouldn't be used in a bad way. But there's a level that I think you've got to try and not cross over to. There's a bridge and you don't want to cross it. And once you've crossed that bridge, you get into the really like saccharine, corny, happy music that I find to be near unbearable, really. And this album does contain a little bit of that, and also just really uninteresting, uninspired tunes that I can't really fathom much of anything to really compliment. Like, I'm really lost with this one. Good Day, the opening track, like I've already mentioned. Good Lord. Is Kids Bop doing 21 Pilots songs now? What is this? It's so cheesy and cushy, and the piano chords are just so, oh god, like, it's just so, oh god. I've honestly heard more inspiring music at like a school play or a school event, and obviously, you know, children are much younger than professional musicians, so the talent levels are really questionable here, because I can't believe they've gone in a direction that would even come close to a track like this. The basic lyrics just make it sound like some kind of jingle that you'd hear like a radio station. I don't know, man. This was a really weird opening track. I honestly couldn't tell if this was like sarcastic or they were taking the piss. I can't tell you. Like, I can't even work it out. Choker isn't really all there either. Just think the tune here is really whatever, and then the spoken word section is just so cringe. They do this a lot on their tracks actually, and honestly when I think about it, it's always been cringe, but here coming after that first track might have just soured my feelings generally, because this seemed to feel more than usual. I have already mentioned Shy Away, which comes after this. I think this typical pop song structure probably should have just been kept for many of the other tracks, because as safe as it is, it's actually probably the most memorable song here. I remember the chorus pretty well, And it's not like I'm remembering it for bad reasons, because Saturday is like, what are the lyrics here? Like, what are they doing? Why? When did they start writing songs like this? Again, I'm not saying that, you know, if you're mentally in a good place, you're not allowed to write songs like this. I hope no one takes what I'm saying like that, you know, anything what I'm saying like that in the comments, because that's not what I'm saying. 21 Pilots are allowed to change. They don't have to make dark music with deep and, you know, emo lyrics anymore. You know, they're not allowed to, you know, change that. Yeah, I'm not saying any of that. Like, they're not allowed to change. They are. But you're going to, like, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're doing this. Like, what? Like, what are you doing? I mean, as basic as many of the songs from Eurovision are, that happened this past weekend. And I think this takes the cake for being the most basically written song of the past weekend that I've heard. Because what are they doing here? It feels to me like Never Take It is a really, like, weak and limp attempt at making some kind of statement, talking about the truths and how the lies are fed to you. Look, I'm not saying that is wrong, but I just think the way that they approach it is just really weak. And I'm not saying that they're right either. I think that can be a bit conspiracy theory-ish, but there's probably something to be said in some of the lyrics that they're saying here. But then the whole, like, woes thing going on just makes it feel really tacky and cheap, and not really providing any interesting commentary on anything either. This feels like, you know, something Idols would do if they suddenly ditched punk music. Just not really saying anything noteworthy, just saying slogans for the sake of it, while just making really bland music. This is the future of, like, a pop Idols. Maybe Idols will change their name to Pop Idols and it'll be like a play on words of Pop Idol. That could be the future, and they'll probably make songs like this. As negative as I am being, I will say Formidable is okay. I think the track is quite a solid guitar-driven song here. It's not like that special. It's a bit like Shy Away, where, like, the structure is very familiar. The guitar melody feels very familiar, and just generally doesn't feel like they're pushing themselves out of their comfort zone. But if the tune is there, I don't tend to really be that bothered. But then they follow it with possibly the worst track, or one of the worst tracks, with Bounce Man. And it's like this ukulele, cheesy, hand clap, hand stomp thing going. And I'm just not here for this. The Bounce, Bounce, Bounce Man chorus is just not for me either. And then when you think of, like, other tracks as well, and I'm still just not sure what I'm meant to get out of many of these tracks, because even something like The Outside, which changes things a little bit, doesn't really work either. It's kind of like this forced cool thing that they're trying to, like, you know, appeal to the young kids. It just feels like that, even if they're not even trying to do that. I can't picture it any other way. And I know they've never been, like, the most rappity rap group, even though they have rap songs. But this track in particular, again, just feels like a parody of 21 Pilots. Like, the way he raps on that, you know, rap verse section is just, I mean, I have no words for it, really. I just have nothing to say. It just sounds so cringe. It sounds like Glass Animals would make a song like this. And anyone remembers my Glass Animals review, you know, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. So if anything's reminding me of Glass Animals, you can keep it, please. Keep it. No Chances, though, feels so out of place. I can't believe I'm continuing with the negative things here. There's so much bad to say about this album. I can't believe it, honestly. But, like, out of nowhere, it's this edgy, like, trap track with this cult-like chorus. And it's just, like, not fitting the vibe of so many of these songs. Like, this album's crazy. I can't believe this album, man. What are they doing? There's so much of this album that just confuses me. It reminds me of the track from Blurry Face. I think it was called Fairly Local, where, again, it didn't match the tone of the album, and it didn't sound that good either. So when it just has this combination of, you know, not sounding very good and also not fitting the aesthetic of the album holistically, it makes it kind of sound worse, because you're wondering how this even made it here, and how did they even think of trying to make a track like this? Yeah, maybe this is my least favourite. I can't decide. There's so many that I just don't like. Yeah, I don't know. The final track just has these weird vocals. By this point, I'm not really engaged. I just don't really care at this point. I just had a really bad experience with this album. I'm really shocked, because I think a lot of people out there won't think it's that bad, and there'll be some people out there that think it's good, and they'll probably be like, you know, oh, you just don't like it because they've changed. But I'm not really against artists changing. I mean, if you think of an artist that changed quite drastically recently, Eve Toomer with you know, their last album, I think it proves that you can change your style and make it work really well. But in some cases it just doesn't. And also, just to clarify, that the happy vibes of some of these tracks isn't rubbing me the wrong way because, you know, I'm bitter that they're happy, and I'm, you know, depressed and sad, and I'm, you know, a loner that has no one in my life, and I can't fathom the fact that a band would make happy music. It's just the the execution that I have a problem with. Although now I've said that, there'll probably be someone that thinks that I am that type of person, and that is kind of depressing, because I'm just not like that at all. So yeah, really bad for me. I think my score probably will surprise some people, but I gotta go 3.5 out of 10. This really was not a good listen for me at all. I couldn't believe it. After each track went by, I was struggling. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. This is definitely my least favourite album of theirs completely. And yeah, really not good for me here. This isn't good. But please let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I think a lot of people will probably still like this. They'll still enjoy what 21 Pilots is bringing to the table, and that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. You can like that. That's okay. You are allowed to like it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear what people think. Have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already. And goodbye. Goodbye.